She flipped the phone face down, muted the message thread at home. I watched her keep it in her hand. The screen lit, then went dark again without sound. Break room hum, microwave beeping, coffee dripped slow. I held the marble gift bag by its ribbon. Group chat sprayed confetti and inside jokes at her promotion dinner. I text, I'll swing by after work. 20 minutes. Her bubble finally lands, please skip, just work people. My coworker glanced over his yogurt and the bag. He said, trouble? I said, plans changed. He smirked like he'd called it yesterday. Someone held the door with a foot, then let it shut. I let the pause sit. On the thread, her best friend tapped a heart on my earlier plan. Off-script move. I watched the heart sit under her skip. That was the contradiction I needed. I slid the phone face down, but not off. I didn't put the bag away. My thumb traced the card edge under the tissue. Private decision made in the middle of shared air. She was late on purpose. She controlled the door. The friend cracked a window. I texted back to the friend, not the group, noted. She left it on read. I didn't ask for more. Coworker said, you still going? I said, I'm delivering a gift. He looked at the bag like it answered for me, then went back to his spoon. I muted the chant of gifts, set the lid on my coffee, and tucked the bag against my side. Silence worked better than asking permission. The elevator chimed. I stepped in and didn't look back. The condo lobby was bright and empty. I held the marble gift bag and watched the door. She came out 2 hours early in event heels after telling me it was a late start. She checked her phone, not the room, and headed for a black car. The doorman nodded. I nodded back. No wave from her. That was the clue. My phone buzzed. Her best friend Med. You sure about skipping? I replied, told to. She sent, drop the bag, quick hello. No emoji this time. I typed on my way. She left it there. I ordered a ride at the curb. The bag sat on my knees the whole drive. The city moved fast and didn't touch me. I muted the thread again and let the screen black out. At the restaurant bar, it was noise and glassware and people trying to be seen. The bartender glanced at the bag and said, party's in back. I said, I'm just dropping a gift. He looked at my left hand, then the door to the private room, then back at me. I set the bag on the bar with 2 fingers and didn't push. My phone buzzed once. The friend sent, side door, 2 steps left of the host stand. I waited a beat. Then, staff knows to expect a drop. That was her interference, quiet and clean. I stood, took the bag, and moved through the front crowd. A couple from her office clocked me and looked down at their menus like they hadn't. The host was busy with a list. He didn't see me yet. A busser slid a small gate and kept his eyes on the floor. He didn't ask who I was. That was the tilt. I told the bartender without looking back, I'll be quick. He shrugged like it wasn't his fight. I passed the rope into the side corridor, the carpet deadening the sound. My phone stayed in my pocket. The gift bag swung once and settled. I kept my pace even. I didn't announce myself. I didn't text her. The friend had given me a lane. I used it. I reached the edge of the room and stopped where the light changed. Then I walked in. The host stand sat between me and the noise. I heard her before I saw her. She told someone inside, keep the list tight. If he shows, tell him we'll connect later. The host parroted it into his tablet like scripture. He looked up at me and squared his shoulders. He didn't clock the marble gift bag in my hand. He said, she requested no +1s? I said, just leaving this? He shifted to block like I was trying to slip in. The contradiction sat there. Husband labeled as extra. 2 coworkers were waiting on the side and doing the fake phone scroll. They recognized me and then didn't. One of them started to speak, then let the sentence die. That was social. I kept my posture easy and set the bag on the edge of the stand, then picked it back up. Choice made? No mess. Her best friend slid in behind the host with the confidence of a planner. She didn't greet me out loud. She touched the stand with 2 fingers, then used her shoulder to angle the host away from me. She whispered without looking at my eyes, hang back. I said 5 minutes? She nodded once, eyes cutting to the sidebar. Lane opened. The host refound his script. He said, we're at capacity. I said, understood. He expected an argument. I gave him air. That unbalanced him more than a push. Inside the room, she laughed too brightly and clapped on a beat that belonged to someone else's story. A man at her table asked if the list was squared. The host answered before she did. She let that happen. That was a tell. The friend drifted toward the bar like she was checking glassware. I moved with the rope on my right and the wall on my left. The marble bag swung once against my leg. A junior analyst watched me pass and flicked her eyes to the bag, then to my face, like she was adding columns. 2 project managers approached the stand and asked about seating. The host asked their names and smiled big. He hadn't smiled for me. Another tell. I let it land and kept walking. I stopped where the corridor kinked. Private space without doors. The room's buzz softened there. I set the bag on a high ledge, palm flat on the handle, not claiming, not letting go. The friend was already there, facing the wall like she was reading a menu no one else could see. She said under the noise, "Timing is tight." I said 5 minutes is enough. She tilted her head toward the sidebar, toward quieter light and fewer ears. Power moved off the list and onto the clock. I followed her to the edge of the bar and kept my voice low. The next piece was coming. The sidebar ran quiet under the main noise. Glasses stacked, bartender polishing, 2 analysts from her team pretending to study the menu while watching the doorway. Her friend didn't dress it up. She said timing is messy. Someone from before is here. I kept my eyes on the mirror behind the bottles. I said older or recent. She said before you. One of the analysts flipped to look at my hands, at the marble gift bag. He ordered sodas he didn't drink. The other leaned on one hip, casual like a plant. I set the bag on a high top where the light caught the marble print. Her friend shifted her body so we were in a pocket. She added, she didn't want overlap. Clean lanes. No names. That drew the outline. The list had been tight at the door, but a man without a badge crossed the room with an easy path. She met him with both hands, both wrists offered. It wasn't work handshake distance. He bent in like he knew the space. I said, I'll observe, nothing loud. Her friend's shoulder dropped a degree, not relief, just alignment. She slid the bag 2 inches closer to the traffic line, like she was setting a prop. The analysts clocked the double-hand greeting, then looked down together, acting like they'd never seen it before. One checked his watch that was off by 20 minutes. Contradiction hung where the list rules had been. Her friend tapped my elbow once and angled her head. Left side is clean, camera line there, she murmured without sound. I adjusted to the edge of a column and took a clear sight line. The man's suit was new, the familiarity wasn't. She moved between tables like a host, shook off a junior's attempt to pull her toward the step and repeat. Microphone checks clicked near the stage. Someone wheeled a light stand into place. The room's energy gathered. I didn't chase her eyes. That would have given her footing. The bag sat exactly where it needed to be, visible and patient. Her friend brushed past the floor manager and let a small nose settle in the air. Space opened. I stayed 10 feet out, where I could be ignored until I couldn't. Across the room, the man laughed first. She leaned in too close for the version of events she'd sent me. I let that land and kept my angle. The cameras were about to start their work. Flash popped. The floor manager waved teams into clusters. I stayed by the rope with the marble gift bag parked on the high top, handle turned toward the room. At her table, she told them he's swamped tonight. A few nods, a laugh that didn't stick. I told the friend I'm 10 feet away. She didn't flinch. She kept her eyes on the rotations, not me. I sent a clean text, here, quick handoff, then I'm gone. On my screen delivered. On the group thread, she answered a joke about the budget with a string of safe emojis. My message stayed unread. The friend watched the timing and let it breathe. A runner lifted my place card off a side table and slid it in front of a new chair. Another hand flipped the card face down and wrote a nickname I didn't recognize. Behavioral neatness. The chair filled in fast. The bag took its breath and did its job, present, not pleading. The MC grabbed a mic and warmed the room. Thanks to mentors, teams, families? No mention of me. A couple coworkers near the bar tracked the omission, then pretended to remember something else. The friend's hand found my shoulder, light pressure, nothing dramatic. She lifted her phone, posted a harmless crowd shot. It caught the marble pattern in the corner, and the edge of my sleeve. The notification pinged across the room. A few heads turned slow. Power shifted on cue, not loud, enough to tilt. I said keep it clean. She said wait for the toast. Her tone was practical, like calling a cab. She stepped away and moved a floor cone 6 inches. Space opened where it didn't exist a minute ago. My screen buzzed. Someone in the thread liked the photo. Then a quiet DM, saw you. I let the pause stay where it landed. She was still seated too close to the stage, checking her lipstick in a spoon, letting the story run through her. Staff lined up the next set of shots. The MC signaled for a toast, and the lights tightened. The friend's eyes found me once, then the bag. I adjusted my angle and let the room bring us to the edge. The MC lifted his glass. Lights tightened. The side door opened like it belonged to him. Fitted suit, easy smile, old maps in his stride. Hands found his shoulder. Laughter rose in a pocket. The host, who told me no plus ones, waved him through without a list. He landed near me at the edge of the stage and looked me over. "You must be the backup," he said. I said, "I'm her husband." A fork stopped midair. One table went still, then the next. The MC held his smile too long. Across the front row, she kept clapping a beat after everyone else, then realized she was alone. The friend moved. She didn't look at me, just reached past the stage flowers and set the marble gift bag in my wife's hands like a prop that had to be there. The card on top was clean, 2 words in block letters, husband. A camera flash caught the silver handle. My wife glanced down, blinked, and went right into the script. "Old colleague," she said, "nothing more, glad he could stop by." The colleague gave a small bow meant for a different room. People who had hugged him minutes ago leaned back and recalculated. Someone whispered, "Wasn't it no guests?" and didn't finish the sentence. I felt the friend's eyes for a second. "Now?" she asked without speaking. I said, "That's enough." She turned, took the mic from the MC to hold for the toast, hands steady, photo ready. Clean interference. Nothing to pin, everything to see. He tried again. "Congrats to both of you," he said toward the stage, not at me. I let it pass. The word both hit the card in her hands and stayed there. The MC breezed on, thanking mentors and teams. No one interrupted him this time. The contradiction sat in plain view. No plus ones, but he had a path and a welcome. Husband on the card, but I was supposed to be swamped. Her smile tightened at the edges. She looked for a laugh line that wasn't there. The room didn't give it. I eased a step back, then another. The friend clocked it, didn't stop me. I told her on the way by, "Clean exit." She said, "You're covered." I reached the aisle as the toast finally happened. Glasses touched late and light. People watched her watch the bag. I gave the room back to her and moved toward the door. I step out before dessert. The lobby is cooler. A couple from her team drifts over, still holding their name tags. He asks if I'm coming back in. I say, "Enjoy the night." She says they had a shout-out for families. I say, "I was asked to skip." They glance at each other, then at the doors, as if the rule changed mid-sentence. The pause sits. I let it. Outside, the rideshare line is slow. My hands are empty now. The marble bag is on her stage. That part is finished. I order a car and don't look back at the glass. Home is clean and quiet. I drop keys in the tray, turn on one lamp, make the guest room. Pillows straight, charger set, fresh towel. I mute the thread. I don't open the photos. I text her, "Doors open, I'm off this event." She replies fast, "Don't make a scene." I answer, "I already left." She sends, "Call me after." I put the phone face down. That's the call. Her best friend pings me directly. A screenshot of the planning chat. A date stamp from days ago. My name grayed out with removed beside it. She adds, "For context." I reply, "Received." The contradiction lives in pixels, just work people. But the calendar had a family block and my chair had a card until it didn't. I slide our thread into archive and set "Do Not Disturb" for her contact. Not punishment, just clean lines. Access is a dial. I turn it once and stop. The couple from the lobby appears in a tagged story while I brush my teeth. He writes, "Great night with the team." She adds, "Proud of her." There's a corner of the stage in one clip. The marble bag sits in frame. A small anchor. Comments float under it, light and careful. Her name flashes again. "Where are you?" I don't type. Timing is part of the message. She tries to reclaim the frame with a late call icon. I let it ring, then settle. I set an early alarm and stack tomorrow's clothes on the chair. The guest room is still air, no echo. She wanted a quiet headline. She can have it. I lock the front and leave the deadbolt off. The door will open if she wants it. The phone buzzes once more, then goes still. I turn off the lamp and leave the hallway light on dim. Morning has a route already. Morning moves on time. I take the corner by her building and walk into the coffee line. 2 of her coworkers hover near the pickup shelf, Paper badges flipped backward like they don't want to be seen. The closer one says they thought I'd bailed last night. I say I was asked to skip. They share the quick look people give when a memo clashes. The second one clears her throat and says right, busy week. My phone buzzes. A new post from her best friend lands. Clean stage photo. The marble gift bag is front and center, card facing the camera. Husband in block letters. Caption reads congrats on doing the work. No tags in the text. The barista asks what I'm having. I say just black. The coworkers pretend not to check their phones and check anyway. A like count jumps. A comment thread starts careful. Great night. Well deserved. Someone tags the old colleague in a reply. The tag disappears 2 minutes later. That was fast, the first coworker says to nobody. I sip and let that sit. A DM slides in from the friend. She says you saw it. I say clear enough. She says leaving it up. I say leave comments open. She doesn't type back. She doesn't have to. Another message, my wife this time. Coffee? Quick? I watch the typing dots fade and return like she's measuring the room again. I put the phone face down on the counter. Timing is doing the talking. The two coworkers step closer like they want context without asking. One says he was on the list, right? The other says she told us he was slammed. I say she told me to skip. The second nods too many times, the way people nod when they're recalculating. Notifications stack. Polite waves from managers, a heart from someone who posted photos last night without me in them. The friend's picture is getting shared into group chats I'm not in. The marble bag keeps showing up, dull shine under the lights, my card steady on top. No caption can make it not be there. My wife calls. I let it ring. A text arrives under it, don't stand by my office. I type, grabbing coffee, then meetings. We can schedule later. I let the green bubble land and don't aim it. The barista slides my cup over. He glances at the screen on the counter, then at me. He asks everything alright. I say it's clean enough. The old colleague resurfaces in a photo tag on a different account, then gets untagged there too. The room around me shifts a degree. People stop correcting each other mid-sentence. Defense turns into quiet sorting. The friend DMs a last line, you good to hold? I say holding. She reacts with a check mark, nothing extra. A pair from her team walks in, sees me, slows. One lifts a hand like a wave, then drops it halfway. He says catch you upstairs? I say another day. He nods and turns quick. I take the lid off, taste, and set it back on. I slide the phone into my pocket, cup in my hand, and step out to the sidewalk. The thread keeps moving behind me. I keep walking, steady, and let the morning keep pace.